signatures now after. You bet. And you got 72?
Have you seen it?
Did you go around your
Yeah,
neighborhood?
look good.
I did. Joe and I did our neighborhood yesterday. I want to get him down. We're going. Oh, I am on.
You ready?
I can't view any of these documents. Nicole, what's the login to get the documents? Yes, right now.
Ray's on vacation.
It's not. Is there any ways to view? I mean, I thought I could view them. Everyone takes me to. Oh, but there's that. So that was annoying. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Okay, then reset. Like to call to order the council meeting of July 13th, 2015. Please call the roll.
Rich Bardak. Here. Peg Conway.
Here.
Bill Doring.
Here.
Ed Hattenbach.
Here.
Tom Muthing.
Here.
Natalie Wolf.
Here.
So we'd also like to note that Scott Larmer, our village manager, and Kevin Frank, our solicitor, along with Councilmember Ray Warren, are on vacation and not present at this meeting. And then we have Mr. Kudenho, who is filling in for our solicitor this evening, also with Wood and Lamping.
All right, thank you. If everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is the minutes. One minor clerical correction was circulated to all council members ahead of the meeting. Are there any other clarifications or corrections? If not, we can consider the minutes approved. Next item on the agenda is the finance report for the month of May. And in the village manager's absence, the chair of the finance committee, Councilman Hattenbach, will present that report.
Thank you, Mayor. Total general fund revenue for the month of May was $419,000, of which $213,000 was from earnings tax revenue. $72,000 came in from the property tax allocation, which is the holdback from the state. That comprised a major portion of the revenue. Expenditures for the month of May were $228,000. Total unencumbered fund balance at the end of May is a little bit over $4 million. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is we have a guest speaker, Jennifer Eismeyer from the Mill Creek Watershed Council. Jennifer is the executive director of the Watershed Council, and she has a presentation.
Thank you. Presentation is perhaps a little bit of a very formal term for addressing you this evening. Thank you for having me. The Mill Creek Watershed Council, as many of you know, has been around for 20 years. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary with a ceremonial re-signing at the French House in French Park. We were delighted to be here in Amberley. It was a terrific venue. As you know, Amberley is in the heart of the Mill Creek Watershed. So we were so pleased to be right in your backyard, and we thank Mayor Muthing for signing the agreement and pledging Amberley's support for Mill Creek improvement and the work of the Watershed Council to make that improvement happen. So we very much appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you for another 20 years.
Are there any questions for Jennifer concerning the Watershed Council and the work that they're doing? I mean, Jennifer does periodically meet with the Environmental Stewardship Committee, and has been talking to Amberley at various times. And how many communities signed the?
There are 34 communities in the watershed, and 23 have signed.
Right.
We'll
And
take any stragglers, though, so if anyone's out there, we'll take
it was a very nice. Councilman Doring was there. It was a very nice event, and I think obviously they talked about some of the progress that they've made over these last 20 years, and there was some visual presentation of the water as it looked 20 years ago versus the water as it looks today, and it was quite startling because they must have taken a sample 20 years ago and kept it around. So we thank you for all the work that you're doing with the Watershed Council and the great things you're doing, and we look forward to working with you.
Oh, terrific. We look forward to working with you. And I think in Environmental Stewardship Commission, I have been invited to address the commission a couple of times, and I very much appreciated those opportunities. We would welcome the opportunity to partner with the village on specific stormwater or stream restoration projects where those make sense. So, thank you very much.
All right.
Oh, and Mayor Muthing, I have this for you. And that concludes my presentation. Good night, everyone.
And the one thing I would mention about this thing, it was, it's, a lot of times it's very nice being a community that begins with A, because being, right there up front, Amberley got to be the first to sign the document, ahead of Mayor Cranley and others that fell behind us. So.
In our village too.
The next, I want to take one item on the agenda a little bit out of order. I want to turn it over to the chief at this point to do a special report from the chief. So go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to do a brief report on police fatalities. And actually, I asked Rabbi Mindy to come just as a representative because he represents the police department as our chaplain. You can actually step up to the mic. In 2014, up to June of 2015, law enforcement is up 29% in fatalities. In June alone, there was 9 fatalities that happened across the United States. And I think that sometimes we forget really what goes on behind the scenes, and if it doesn't happen close to us, we don't realize it. Most people know that Rabbi Mindy has actually been representing our department and Hamilton County agencies for over 20 years in law enforcement. With that said, Rabbi Mindy was in the front line of what happened recently with Officer Sonny Kim of Cincinnati, from being at the house, making the death notification, to being involved in a lot of different things. He has no idea that I'm actually here. I'm recognizing him. He thinks he's here to talk about police fatalities, but I think it's important to understand that Rabbi Mindy actually goes over and above for our police department and all of the Hamilton County agencies. He currently represents Amberley, Gulf Manor, Cincinnati, and now recently Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. Rabbi Mindy attends a lot of meetings, whether it's at the JCC or different organizations. He goes to prisons and talks to people. He goes to the jails and speaks to people. And actually, he goes to a lot of schools. And also, annually, he teaches training for law enforcement here at Amberley. We have predominantly a Jewish community. And in the South End, it's a lot of Orthodox people. And it's actually different cultures. And Rabbi Mindy keeps us up to date everything going on. And how for the officers to deal with certain situations. So we're respecting people for their beliefs. So on behalf of the Amberley Village Police Department, I just want to thank Rabbi Mindy, and I want to give him one of our Gold Excellence Awards coins and just say thanks for everything he's done, and thanks for what you continue to do. I mean, you're deserving of it. Like I said, and I've said it on Facebook, all the things that law enforcement enforcement does, whether it be the chiefs of police or FOP presidents and things, a lot of this goes through the rabbis and the chaplains. And the Hamilton County chaplain team is unbelievable. And what they did and stepped up recently, I think it's well worth being recognized. So, thanks.
I will say a few words if you don't mind. Is that okay, sir? All right. Totally unexpected. When the chief asked me to come here, and I was this close to saying, no, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm just kidding. Get closer. Okay, sorry. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to represent Amberley. Unfortunately, recently it was at the funeral of Sonny Kim, and I'd rather represent the village at police memorials when we haven't had any line in duty deaths. But I've had a very good working relationship with our chief. He goes above and beyond for our community, not just the Jewish community, but Amberley Village as a whole. And you know, we've had good, great relationships with chiefs in the past, but I don't think any of them come close to what we have with our chief. He's taken it upon himself in the Jewish community to learn about our laws and our customs and why we do certain things, so that the officers, the village could be accommodating, and Amberley Village is very accommodating to the Jewish community. So I thank you for that. Also also want to wish the chief a happy birthday for this coming Wednesday. I heard 31, something, 30-ish, plus tax. It's an honor. Obviously, we don't do this for recognition. We try to stay behind the scenes, and just be there, as much as we can. But thanks.
Well, on behalf of the entire Village Council, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I think it was a great thing, recognizing you, and it's definitely warranted, so thank you. Next item on the agenda is the committee reports, and we will start with the Finance Committee.
Thank you again, Mayor. We just received the audit report for the years ending December 2012 and 2013. The audit was performed by the auditor of the state of Ohio personnel, and the auditors stated that the financial statements present fairly in all material aspects the combined cash balances of Amberley Village, Hamilton County, Ohio, as of December 31st, 2012 and 2013, and its combined cash receipts and disbursements for the years that ended in accordance with financial reporting provisions of the Ohio Revised Code. So we have a wonderful report. That is my report.
Are there any questions? Okay, next item is the Land Development Committee, and I am the chair of that committee. I just want to report back to council. The committee has met twice in the past month. This was to, first of all, consider or review a couple offers that we have received related to the north site. These offers, there were 3 offers that the committee talked about. One of the offers would involve the construction of was just an indoor athletic facility. And what the committee felt on that one was that this offer was not, the value offered to the village was not much up front, and on an ongoing basis provided very little to the village. So we did not want to consider that. The other 2 offers are being continued to be pursued. Those would involve some construction of offices, especially at the old swim club portion of the property. So over the next month or so, we may be progressing with one of those. The other item that was considered by the Land Development Committee is that we will be coming out later in July with a request for, I forget the exact term we used, but it's a request for basically anyone interested in developing the property. We've had informal discussions with a lot of parties over the last year and a half, and so we wanted to develop a process that would allow us to make an objective decision of who we move forward with to try to make the next steps in determining what we do with the Amberley Green property. So that particular document will be sent out by the village manager after he returns from vacation. And so once they start getting responses to that, the Land Development Committee will be considering those responses and will be coming before council to report back on those responses. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions? All right, thank you. The chief has really made his report earlier, so we will go on to the mayor's report. And I just have a couple items. The first one I wanted to mention was back the day after the last council meeting, Councilman Doring and I, who serve on the Tax Incentive Review Council along with the village manager, we had a meeting of the Tax Incentive Review Council. This group meets once a year, and it is comprised of, it's a very large meeting, so any communities in Hamilton County that have issued tax incentives to businesses meet. And now our portion of the property, we just had one item, so we meet with the council, and there's members of Cincinnati schools there because they're part of it too. And you know, there's so much in the press so many times about tax incentives and corporations not living up to what they have committed to in tax incentives. But in our case, I really believe, you know, it was so nice being there and to report back on what Topics has done with respect to the tax incentive that was issued to them, I think 2.5 to 3 years ago. They have not only met everything that they said, they have exceeded everything that they said they were going to do. And the council, which is made up of various people from members in Hamilton County, you could tell that they were very impressed. And, you know, when we said that we really had no comment other than, you know, we thanked Topics for all they did, the comment that they made was, well, of course you would have no comment because they have exceeded everything they said they were going to do. So, you know, it is, you know, a nice thing to do that every once in a while we are able to recognize companies that do, in fact, not only live up to what they said they'd do, but far exceed. So, any questions on that? Next item I have is on the Environmental Stewardship Committee. There was the presentation that I mentioned at the last meeting by a local resident who will be a senior at Mount Notre Dame concerning rain barrels. The attendance at this was very good. I think we probably had 45 to 50 people at that. They initially had a grant that would allow them to give, I think it was between 10 and 12 rain barrels. They had a drawing for those people that would win rain barrels, and there were the 10 or 12 names were picked, but Aliyah Nuruddin, who was the senior at Mount Notre Dame, said that she was going to try to go back to the person who had given the grant to see if she could get additionals, and in fact she got an additional grant that would allow rain barrels to be given to everyone that expressed an interest at the event to get a rain barrel. So it was a very nice event. Next thing I wanted to mention was the Adopt a Grove program, which the Environmental Stewardship Committee oversees, which has been meeting monthly down at Amberley Green to do light maintenance around trees. They will be meeting this Thursday at 6 o'clock, but we're actually going to do it around the Village Hall site because of the upcoming 75th anniversary activities. We wanted to try to do things that we could help out around here, as well as our maintenance department is trying to do a lot to around the property to get it spruced up. And then the last thing on the Environmental Stewardship Committee that I wanted to mention was the next meeting of the committee will be July 27th, which is the last Monday in July, down in the community room at 7 p.m. And then the only other thing I want to mention from the mayor's report relates to the 75th anniversary. The mural is underway, and we are also, we have been mentioning, and Nicole has been sending out requests for volunteers. We still need to get some more volunteers for the event. And then the other thing, we said that we were going to seek donations for this event. We are continuing to seek donations, but so far it has been very, very successful. We are almost up to the goal that we had set, so I think there is no doubt that we are going to exceed the goal, which is a good thing, and I think again reflects upon our residents and how they value Amberley Village and the police and everything we do around here. So that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any questions?
Thanks. I wanted to say something about the mural. I was up at Village Hall last week, and it was a day it wasn't raining, but it was almost going to rain. And as I walked to my car afterwards, I noticed the activity going on below, and so I had to see it. I had not previously seen a drawing of the mural, and the artist was there in charge of the volunteers, Cedric Michael Cox. That's right? Okay. And I spoke to him for a while, and he showed me the drawing, which, by the way, is adorable, and it really encompasses, I think, every aspect of Amberley, except there's a rooster, and we're not allowed to have roosters, which I did point out to him. But the concept of the mural, this is not an Artworks mural. This is our own independent Amberley mural, and it's so great to see the volunteers, how it's motivating people to come and volunteer, and artists who are teenagers and other people who aren't teenagers are coming to work on the mural and getting involved in a community project, and even if you're not working on it, you drive by and you see something permanent is happening here. And this is going to be part of Amberley long after our 75th anniversary is over and done. So, I just think it's really unique, and it makes us be a part of Cincinnati, which has had artworks and public art for such a long time, and it shows that we value art here in Amberley. And some of you may know or may not know that Amberley there are a lot of artists who live in Amberley, and one of whom it was my husband's late mother, Paula Wolf, who lived much of her life here in Amberley, and was an avid painter, and considered herself artist above probably mom then artist, or artist then mom. I'm never was sure which. So, great job.
Okay, any other questions? The one I, oh yes, definitely.
While we're on the subject of the 75th anniversary, I just wanted to share that we've had some nice response from people entering into the parade. The Shriners are going to be in it, and a lot of police vehicles, and, oh gosh, I can't remember them all now. But anyway, I'm sorry? And this Ohio Cherry Blossom Princess has entered the parade. But just by way of saying that all are welcome, and especially residents who have been in the village for 50 years or more, we want to really have a strong representation, because I think there's pretty many, maybe even more than we realize. Just call the village office. There's a forum on the website. So we're excited about it.
Okay, the one item I know under new business, I turn it over to the the vice mayor to report back related to our
Okay.
election report.
Okay, with very little fanfare, Amberley now has an app that anyone with an iPhone can download today. If you have an Android, I think you can download it maybe tomorrow or in the next couple days. And if you have an iPad, you may be able to download it on the iTunes store from your computer and then sync it with your device. But I just installed the app, and I think it's great. I wish I could show you, but it's very easy to use and to read. You can click on any of the phone numbers and it'll call. You can call the administrative office, or you can call the public safety office, and you can click on submit a comment, and submit a comment right from your phone. If you're down at the mural, for example, and you think it's awesome, you can just whip out your app and send a comment right to the village. This is awesome. If you think it's terrible, you can just go to your computer and do it the long way. And you can, Ed will like this, and so will my husband, who the first question he asked, can I pay my taxes on the app? Yes, you can. And there are pictures, and so the app is up and running, as are our Facebook page and Twitter, and I don't think anyone has said anything disparaging yet about Councilman Doring. So so far, so good. All right, great. Welcome to the future.
Is there any other new business? If not, we can consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you.